Hi there, in this video you'll learn how you can improve your smile through Photoshop within minutes. First, we're going to grab the lasso tool and make a selection. I'm using it because the quick selection tool will certainly pick up part of the gums and lips. Feel free to try it out, but I think you'll spend too much time holding Alt to remove the excess. As you can see, it requires too much attention, so I'd rather trash this idea. Use Ctrl D to deselect. Okay, back to my approach. With the lasso tool active, zoom in and start working. You don't need to worry too much about accuracy. That's because you can always use Shift to add to your selection. And you're bound to get some unwanted parts, so hold Alt to remove them. This requires a bit of patience, but the bigger the smile, the easier the job. Plus, this is also a good way to practice using the lasso tool. When I introduced it, I promised you'd find it useful in certain scenarios. Well, here we are. I need to feather my selection so the effect will appear natural. To do that, click on Select and Mask from the options bar. If you don't see it, make sure you have any selection tool active, for example the lasso. This particular button is available only in the latest releases of Photoshop. If you're using CS6 or a previous version, this is going to be called Refine Edge. Don't worry, the idea is simple. From this new workspace, we'll increase the feather to about 2.5 pixels. This value is based on my image size and my selection. Other images may require different settings. Next, I'll go to the bottom of the Layers panel and click on this icon. From here, I'll choose Selective Color, which is the last one in this list. This is an adjustment layer that will allow me to remove some of that yellow from the teeth. So that's what I'm going to choose from this drop-down, Yellow. Here we can see 4 sliders, but we're only going to focus on yellow. I'll drag it all the way down. If we toggle this layer's visibility, you'll see it's already made an improvement. Now, if your selection wasn't all that great, this is the time where you can jump in with your brush tool and tackle some of those bits that weren't included. Make sure you're painting with white. Right-click and check your hardness. To maintain that feathered edge, you'll want something fairly soft, so surely under 50%. Okay, paint away any of those yellow spots that you might have missed. Here, I'm good to go. Before we go any further, I've got to say that I want natural-looking teeth, and the change has to be subtle. If you plan on using this on Facebook or some other social platform, please resist the urge of cranking the settings. There's a bunch of other tutorials out there that make your smile Hollywood-like, yet I feel that's too big of a change. I want subtle improvement, not a completely different smile. With that said, let's proceed to step number 2. I need my selection back, but don't worry, you don't have to grab the lasso tool and redo the same job. Instead, we'll Control-click our layer mask, and this will re-enable our selection. This is a real time saver. Now I'll choose another adjustment layer from the bottom of my Layers panel, Levels. Here you don't need to worry too much about all these details. I'll move this middle slider to the left side, around 1.20 or so, and this will get me a great result. On your image, you may need more, you may need less. Work with these sliders and constantly check the result. If we hide these adjustment layers to see the initial image, we can see we've made a big difference and it's still believable. That's number 1 in my book. If you plan on modifying your look, make sure you're reasonable with your adjustments, otherwise it's just going to look silly. Let me show you another way of removing some of that yellow nuance from this image. I'll re-enable my selection by clicking on this mask. Now, instead of using Selective Color, I'll activate a Hue and Saturation adjustment layer. Don't worry, we're not going to make his teeth red. Instead, we'll enable this tiny icon that will allow us to tell Photoshop exactly what we want to target from our photo. So click anywhere on his teeth and you'll now see this drop-down has automatically changed to yellows. With it active, you can turn down the saturation. How much is up to you, but I wouldn't go past -75. Move it left and right and see where that sweet spot is. You can also adjust your lightness from this panel and that may further move things along. Overall, here's our before shot and our after shot. Either method is fine, it's just a matter of fine-tuning your settings. So that's how you improve your teeth. 1. Make a selection, in this case with the lasso tool. 2. Use the Selective Color adjustment layer and drag down the yellow slider. Alternatively, you can use Hue and Saturation and click on his teeth to pinpoint that color. 3. Reselect and use the Levels adjustment layer to control your brightness. Try it out on your own images and see how you do. Have fun!